jury of your peers having found you not guilty of all charges, sir, you are free to go.
Thank you so much, Judge.
You're welcome. You may come off the record.
Court's in recess.
Memphis.
Do you plan on leaving Memphis, sir?
Of course.
Was there any point throughout the week where you're like, you know what, I'm still nervous, prior to the verdict? Was there any point where it's like, I don't know which way it's going to go?
I've been nervous for 4 years.
How does it feel to be at the end of this 4-year journey that you've been on?
It feels great. Just feel like I've been born again. I get a chance to restart my life and do some positive things.
Just that reaction.
You want to know how I feel?
Absolutely.
It's hard to explain the feeling of knowing you got your life back. And it's one of the best feelings I've ever experienced. And I'm just happy to be free.
How much of a weight is this, lifted off of your shoulders after hearing not guilty, not guilty?
It's a huge weight, I was fighting more so for my son. I have an autistic son, so that's what my fight was mainly for.
All right, man, let's talk heavy like a Chevy. So this guy Govan, he was supposed to be the mastermind that put the play together on the deletion of Young Dolph, and he got exonerated. He was free. He was free. Now I don't know if the other two guys that was accused or anybody else in the case that were accused of sending Dolph to the upper room, did they snitch on him? Did they not snitch on him? And he went through the just due process, and a process in where, I can't speak in his case, but in the other two guys that was accused, there was no attorneys that was willing to represent them in the great city of Memphis, was being said. So for him, I don't know if he had enough money or was this situation different, but apparently they were saying that, Yo Gotti's brother, who passed away, or he got sent to the upper room, allegedly put $100K on any of the paper route rappers that was Young Dolph's record label head. And it came out the other day, they basically said that one of the other offenders that, basically, was $100K on their head. He put on the head, and they just so happened to catch Dolph, and that's the guy that they caught. He just so happened to be out there, and they like, oh, it's $100K, so be it. And the brother Govan said that his number one thing is to get out of the city of Memphis. He's going to have to look over his shoulder for the rest of his life. Even though he wasn't a federal informant, he may need to go into witness protection. So getting out of Memphis ain't enough. Because a lot of the things that's been alleged, that's been going on, I heard it's been a lot of people dropping behind that. I'll just leave it at that. It's been a lot of people dropping. So, obviously he went through the just due process. Now, a lot of times if you got enough paper, that's what it boiled down to. You can get off. But you got to understand, in these high profile cases, these are where attorneys or district attorneys make their name. This is how they make the next leap to partner or starting their own firm, not partner, or getting into politics and moving up the ladder. This is how they make their name. Off of superstar cases like this is how they move up the ladder. They be a district attorney, might want to go start their own firms, might want to, start their own firm for to defend people or, whatever it may be, right? So, he said, hey, man, I'm going to get out of there. So, it just depends how many people trust the process. Now, apparently he was the guy that put the play together. He was the guy that put it all together. He middleman the deal or something like that. Now, what's being said in some of them articles that he didn't pay them all the money, that he middleman the deal, allegedly. Obviously, you can officially say he didn't middleman the deal. So if he actually did middleman the deal, then they probably found no traces of cash transactions from him. He must have did a great job of being discreet with the messaging or how he relayed the message. If he truly was guilty, but it doesn't matter what the court thinks if he's guilty. Do the people that do Dolph people think that he innocent or guilty? That's the true thing about it. But for him, smartest thing he said was getting out of Memphis. But then how you really want to move? Like, I got to look over my shoulder every time. See, George Zimmerman don't have to look over his shoulder and worry about that because black people ain't as hostile towards non-black people. Even what he did was more heinous than what you allegedly put together because that was a child. That was a fucking child. Excuse my language. So black people would never have that energy. And I think Govan may be black. I believe he looked black, maybe Hispanic. I don't know. He looked black. Name kind of a little skin high, But, him getting exonerated, that's a huge burden off his chest. But what do the people that Dolph people think? That's the question. Alpo, they said it was a road rage incident with Alpo, but most people believe that wasn't the case. Somebody closed the deal on him eventually. You got people that done, the dude from Goodfellas looking over his shoulder to the day that he died. So you really got to ask yourself, you really have to ask yourself, like damn, I gotta be, if I was in it, even if you innocent, it hurt worse. I'm innocent, but I still gotta look over the shoulder for the rest of my life. Yeah, think about that. That's one thing that people don't think about when they commit crimes. People don't think about that. In that emotional state, and it's hard to think about it when you're making a rash decision. If you high, you drunk, you angry, and you got embarrassed, and now you want to grab the gun. But think about this for a minute. You know what I'm saying? If you get away, right? Unless it's a tried case and you do, and they can't try you again, and you get exonerated, you gotta look over. Even if you do, them people, family want you, bro. You gotta look over the rest of your shoulder, the rest of your days. That's why I'm like, I don't want to get into the criminal world. How can you trust people in a world that doesn't have any rules? In a world where you can't even trust people around you that birthed you or that raised you, that you came up in the sense. So you constantly always have to look over your shoulder, sleep with one eye open. Like that's gotta be one of the most nerve-wracking things. And if he ain't got no paper to go really move somewhere, in reality, he should be wanting to move to the Middle East or move somebody somewhere out the country in reality. But if he ain't got no paper like that, bro, like just the stress of, he ain't even gonna be able to get a good night's sleep again. Now that part ain't probably really registered to him. He just so happy to get home and just had his burden off of him. But you still got a bigger burden on you. Because to be honest, the streets know the truth. But for him getting exonerated, and if he did do it, I'm not saying he did or didn't do it, but he obviously didn't do it in the court of law. But if he did do it and got away with it, he did a great job of being the middleman and being very hands-off. So he's smart, get out of Memphis, but you might want to get out the United States. But hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, Christian Chan's notification. Hit the link tree, join the Patreon, follow me on X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal.